To this planning board meeting. Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. First up on our agenda is roll call. We're up here tonight, so this is really exciting. But tonight we have Ashley Case, we've got Lisa Buck, we've got Dave Thompson, we've got Mr. Costello, and we've got Bob Bear in the end. I think we might have Krista Swincer remotely.
I think she's out there. She hasn't joined yet.
Okay, I think she will be joining us. So either way, next up, acceptance of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I second.
Any discussion, additions? Nope. I don't have to ask you anymore, do I, or do I?
As long as one person is digital, so theoretically for this first vote.
Yeah, I mean, if Krista's not voting, then I think we can
Show of hands.
just do it here. Yeah.
Yeah, show of hands. All those in
Everyone
favor?
come So I can count them, please. Okay, that is.
Very good.
How many of you are
Krista
there?
is here now.
Krista, we're just voting on the acceptance of the agenda. So you just joined us. Are you in favor? All right, I read her lips. She said, I'm in favor.
I think I need.
Okay, I'm in favor.
Yeah. All right,
That's 7 in favor, none opposed.
very good. Next up, approval of the minutes of October 19th, 2022. We haven't met in a while. Taking a motion?
So moved. This says September.
Is it?
Yeah.
Apologies, I missed that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going right off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I didn't
I
catch
just
that.
noticed it too. All right.
Okay, so we had, did you?
I second it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
so
motion.
Motion, can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. Comments, reviews, edits, other than September 21st, 2022, caught that one. Krista, anything?
I'm good.
All right, anybody else? Awesome job. So with that edit, now that we have remote, back to you.
The October planning board minutes, Michael Costello,
Approved.
Robert Baer,
Approved.
Dave Thompson,
Approved.
Phil Rock,
Approve?
Lisa Buck,
Approved.
Ashley Case, Krista Schwenzer.
Approved.
That's 7-4, none opposed.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica. Next up, new business. We have one minor site plan application reviewed this evening. It's for the Housing Foundation Management and Development. A second? Two? Okay. Very good. Located on 353 Main Street, tax map 31-3, lot 2 in the Forest and Agriculture District. The application proposes the development of an approximately 1,000 square foot addition to the rear of the existing building to be used for additional office space. So could I have the applicant step up to the mic and just give us a summary of what you're proposing?
I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Timothy Foster. I've worked with the Housing Foundation for approximately 21 years. Jessica Heyman, my boss, was unable to make it, and she'd like to apologize for that, but we pushed her on a vacation that we feel is well needed. But we've hired a firm to help us out with this. But basically what we've been in the community for since 1971. And we've kind of, through the COVID times, we found that it's a little tough to keep our distancing. And it showed us some weaknesses within our organization for being able to keep the social distancing, keep things, we're a little crowded. So we've been kicking this around for a little while, and we'd like to put an addition on the building. A couple things that are very, very important to us, to have it look like it was always there, not an addition. We want it to be a nice looking building. We don't feel it will increase traffic really in that location, or nor parking. We may add an employee later on, but at this point, mostly it's to get the people spread out a little bit in the building, get our files organized the way they should be for our size of our organization, and carry us into the next phase of our time.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Kyle, do you have anything to add to that? You did provide us a very nice summary of the
Yeah,
project.
I don't know if Randy wants to. speak
Randy,
a
why
little
don't you
more
add a
before-
couple things?
Thank you.
So Randy Bragg from Carpenter Associates, helping the folks out this evening. So this project's located right across from the golf course. For those that don't know where it's located,
Excuse me, sorry, we need
Yes.
to, Kyle, we're losing him out of the shot. Thank you.
Yeah.
no walking around, okay. Okay, yep, so the location is right across from the golf course on the main road, and the addition will be directly to the rear. It's about 1,000 square feet footprint. It will be a 2-story building, but it'll be, as Tim said, as close to the existing structure in kindness as it is now. Part of the project is to strip all of the siding off and put on all new siding, so it won't look like a patch job. There will be no additional parking required here. We do have to relocate a storm drain slightly to allow the building to go in, but it's going to discharge in the same location it does now. We've added some BMPs to that to improve its performance a little bit. The runoff from the building will be treated with drip edge filters on both eave ends. Those are along these 2 edges, north and south, if you will, kind of. All the utilities will be from within the building. There's water and sewer will be connected inside. We're not adding any plumbing fixtures. We're going to remove a bathroom and add a bathroom to the addition when they redistribute the folks inside. One of the other concerns we had was to look at the existing septic system, which was aged. We had Steve Howell go out and take a look at that. Gave us the thumbs up on that, that's good for another 10 years or so. So they'll continue to monitor that. Again, there's no plans to add employees, so no added traffic planned here, so no traffic impacts. And that's pretty much the gist. This is in an agricultural zone, so you might ask that this might not be quite the right place to do this, but doing some research, Duska had Mr. Griffin do some work. And back in 1997, Mr. Russell, the town attorney at the time, said this was classified as a civic service facility and therefore allowable. So that might be one of the questions you might have. But other than that, we'll try to answer any questions you have.
Very good. We'll get Kyle's summary, and I think he did address that.
Okay, super. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, really, this is pretty straightforward. I think, the location of the addition is pretty central to the lot. One of the first things, staff had to look at when we, first started talking about this was just that, I mean, typically, if this was more of a commercial operation and this was considered more of a more typical office land use that would not normally be allowed in the forest and agricultural zone. But the ordinance does have a land use specifically called civic service facility, which is what I think in 1997, the project was first considered by the planning board. So this is for nonprofit charitable institutions doing work, benefiting the public in some way in the community. So, that really fit the definition at the time, and it still fits in with what the ordinance says today. So this would most certainly be considered an allowable use, even though it's more typically an agricultural zone. I think one of the other things I touched on in the report was that this is for our forest and agricultural zone. It's a non-conforming lot. It's 2 acres right now. Our minimum lot size in the forest and agriculture district is closer to about 4 acres. However, with the building being centrally located and the addition being centrally located, non-conforming lots are allowed to continue to exist and can even be built on, so long as you're not making anything more non-conforming. So that means more in regards to building height or setbacks, things like that. So in that regard, the ordinance is, kind of checks off for this project as well. I think really the only thing that Randy didn't touch on maybe was, or I didn't hear it, was the plan calls for the addition of 2 evergreen trees in front of that existing parking area. The ordinance or off-street parking section of the land use ordinance does call for a buffer in front of any existing or new off-street parking area between that and the roadway. So those 2 trees there are just put in to kind of meet that standard and provide that visual buffer. Other than that, really with it being an institutional use and not a commercial use, the ordinance doesn't actually require a specific amount of parking. But if it did, if this were just, your typical commercial office of this size, the parking lot that's existing would satisfy the required parking for a building of the size, including the addition, around that 20 space amount. So with that being said, I think that pretty much touches on everything. This really, it requires site plan review mostly because of the use and the district that it's in.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle. So we're going to open it up to questions from the board. First off, with no new parking, you really don't need those trees. You're just adding them. Is that correct?
I think this was adjusted to kind of clean up what was supposed to be there in the.
That's kind of what I gathered, but I figured
So I'm
everything
not-
else
I'm not
was.
sure if they got damaged because of snow plowing in the past or what. So it was a
Okay.
pretty small concession.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's good. I had another one too. So I looked at the septic report from
From
Mr.
Steve.
Foster. He had some recommendations in there. So he just talked about the addition of a couple things and
We passed those on to Tim and Duska, and they're going to continue to monitor that. That will help improve and lengthen the life of that system.
right. So that's just recommendations. I didn't see that as any
Yeah.
condition of approval. You didn't
Yep.
recommend that. I just noticed them in
Yep.
his letter. So,
Yep.
Yeah, we did talk to town staff, code, town engineer.
Yeah.
Had some questions originally about the septic system and just whether, that original, paperwork in there was designed for the previous use before the housing foundation was in there with the single family home. Just making sure that that still met capacity. That additional memo that was supplied by the applicant kind of spoke to that. So town staff was pretty satisfied with
Yeah.
that.
so, and stormwater, anything else? Did Mandy weigh in? I didn't
No.
really see any
Yeah.
issues. I didn't see any report. I wasn't sure for this.
Yeah,
type
there
of
was no
application.
other concern from Public Works, town engineer, Mandy.
It's 1,000 square feet footprint. So really the addition and the stormwater.
Pretty small
Impact.
filter beds, if you will.
Yeah.
The sizes are on the detail sheets, but
Yep.
by the DEP book, so no, just in case.
There's no DEP permits on that. There used to be. a
There is
house.
not, but I
Yeah.
usually use that as my standard
Yeah.
when for designing those, so
Okay. I wasn't aware of any permits, so.
no requirement.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board? All right, I'm gonna open it up to the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up? John, come on now. Bell, anybody online?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay. That mic seemed a little odd and I could hardly hear Bill.
Not sure.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it open for a minute. Nothing else from anybody. Seems pretty simple.
Wires, that might be it.
All right, Bell, nobody?
Nobody.
Very good, thank you. Close the public hearing.
Snow came off the roof.
Yeah. Oh. Do you have proposed findings of fact for us?
I do. Krista, did you get the email finding?
I did, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to read into the record. These are proposed findings of fact for us to consider this evening. So these are for the Housing Foundation Site Plan Review dated February 15th, 2023. And I'm going to go through all of these and ask for yays, nays, comments at the end. So pursuant to Article 6, Section 18-177 of the Orono Code of Ordinances, the Orono Planning Board has considered the application of the Housing Foundation for a minor site plan for an addition to an existing civic service facility use located at 353 Main Street, tax map 31-3, lot 2 in the Forest and Agriculture District. And based on all evidence presented by the applicant, reviewing agencies, town departments, and the public, found the following. One, requirements of the district, that the proposed use is allowable in the Forest and Agriculture District. And although the lot is considered to be legally non-conforming, meets all other applicable dimensional requirements which are necessary to allow expansion of the existing structure. Number two, compliance with town ordinances and codes, that the proposed use meets the provisions of applicable regulations of the town, including all pertinent sections of Chapter 18 Land Use Ordinance. Three, utilization of the site, that the proposed project reflects the natural capabilities of the site by constructing the addition in a suitable area for development and limiting impact to environmentally sensitive areas. Four, traffic and pedestrian access, that no significant changes to traffic generation are anticipated and the development will continue to take advantage of the existing driveway and parking area. Number five, storage of materials, that the project does not propose any exposed storage of materials. Six, stormwater management, that the development provides for adequate provisions to manage stormwater. Seven, erosion control, that erosion control measures will be implemented meeting the specifications contained in the Maine Department of Environmental Protection's Best Management Practices Manual. Number eight, water supply and sewage disposal, that no changes are proposed to the existing water service and on-site septic, and no significant changes to the use are anticipated, and therefore capacity is expected to continue to be met. Nine, utilities, that existing utilities will continue to be utilized and no changes are anticipated. 10, groundwater and surface water quality protection, that the proposed project does not adversely impact either the quality or quantity of groundwater available to abutting properties or to public water supply systems. Number 11, hazardous special and radioactive materials, that the use of the site does not involve the handling, storage, or use of hazardous, special, or radioactive materials. 12, shoreline relationship, that the site is not within the shoreline zone. 13, solid waste management, that the proposed use provides for adequate disposal of solid waste. 14, historic and archaeological resources, that the project area is not known to contain historic or archaeological resources. 15, financial capacity, that the applicant has the financial capacity to carry out the use. And last, 16, noise and lighting, that the addition to the site will not generate any new sources of noise, and new lighting will be limited to building mounted lights of a similar scale to what exists on the current building. Therefore, the proposed use is not anticipated to create any nuisances for surrounding properties in regards to these areas. Very good. So with that said, I think we're probably ready for a motion unless you have any further comments.
All right, I'll try.
Thank you.
I propose that we accept the application for the Housing Foundation for minor site plan for an addition to the existing civil service facility use located at 353 Main Street, tax map 31-3, lot 2 in the Forest and Agriculture District. And that prior to any construction taking place, the applicant will apply for and receive a building permit from the town code enforcement officer.
Very good. Thank you, Lisa. We have a motion. Can I have a second? Thank you, Mike. Any further discussion?
For the approval of the minor site plan from the Housing Foundation, Michael Costello,
I approve.
Bob Baer,
I approve.
Dave Thompson,
I approve.
Phil Rock,
Approved?
Lisa Buck,
Approved.
Ashley Case. Approved. Krista Switzer,
Approve.
That's 7-4 and unopposed.
You good? All right, next up, discussion. Kyle, what do we have on tap?
So there's nothing for March so far. You know, we still have a number of kind of potential projects kind of looming out there. People still working on things, I think either waiting for various approvals at either state level or still kind of working in the conceptual phase. So not exactly sure when some of those are going to come forward, but people are still working on those things. So I'm not sure if we'll have a March meeting. I know in April, it looks like we should have a meeting. We'll probably have some ordinance amendments at the very least to work on. I mean, you know, we have some of the stormwater, the MS4 permit things that are going to be required to be done. There's also LD 2003, the housing bill from the state. At some point in the next few months, we'll probably have a conversation around that, updating the ordinance, and some other things. So maybe no next month, but most likely April for sure.
Remind me, when do they have to have materials in by to make the March meeting? I don't remember our timetable.
Yeah,
It's been so long.
around right now.
Okay, that's what I figured.
It's 30 days before, so I'm not
That's what I thought.
exactly sure what the date is for the March meeting, but yeah.
Okay, you've had pretty light duty lately.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, Belle, is this are these the new audio visual stuff?
Yes, this is all new.
All right, can you explain to us, what's new? What are the new toys we have?
Well, the biggest stuff, I mean, you're seeing new screens in front of you, but the biggest improvement is really all behind the scenes. So there's an automatic video switcher. So when your mic is activated, the One Beyond server actually queues up the camera to switch to your pre-framed shot. So that's a big improvement. The cameras are actually HD cameras instead of the SD cameras that were there before. If ever you were to have more of a workshop format and you were in the back of the room, there's new microphones set up back there as well. And the old screens that used to be in front of you are actually now in the back. So if ever there's a packed house and people are trying to see what's on the video displays, they would be able to see a closer display rather than just looking at the big one up front.
I was just curious because I was watching Randy and the applicant present that. So they had to stand in a certain way just so that perhaps we could see the site plan and the audience could be. That was a little clunky. Yeah, they'd have to have that easel right in place.
So that's because of the automated camera switching. That server is a lot better than I am at video production. So if it were a manual, which we can do manual presentations as well. And that would just mean that I would try to focus the camera in precisely where he is rather than having them stand in the predetermined spot. When Kyle and I discussed the meeting earlier today, we didn't expect to have any displays. So we're working our way through this.
Yeah, no, that's what I just wanted to just think if you pan out a little bit so you see the speaker and if they're pointing to stuff. Either way, I'm just curious. I figured that we were playing with the new system.
If we came in with another project and wanted to point at things on a plan, digital plan.
So if somebody's speaking, they have to speak
All right.
into a microphone.
So Randy's question was if applicants came in and they had like digital maps, if they were projecting on the screen or.
So digital
like
maps work
Zoom,
significantly better because it would be a shared screen on Zoom, and you guys would see them all on the two screens, one facing the audience and one facing you. And actually, the other two screens that are behind the divider wall would display it as well. So
Oh, good, yeah.
digital is a much better format rather than paper display.
How do applicants get access to that? Will they log in when they get here?
So there'll be a laptop. They need to bring it on a thumb drive, but there will be a laptop that's signed into the Zoom webinar, and they would present their screen from there.
I like the thought of those 2 extra monitors in the back. I hadn't really looked at them, but that's good. Thank you, Belle. This is a nice improvement. Yep. That's all I can think of. So I guess next up, unless you have any questions for Kyle. Any questions for Jessica? Oh, we're here, you know, get a meeting out of it. Next up is adjournment. Can I get a motion? Very good. Right, Dave beat you. Any further discussion?
For the adjournment of the February Planning Board meeting, Michael Costello,
I agree.
Bob Bear,
Yes.
Dave Thompson, Phil Rock,
Approved.
Lisa Buck,
Yes.
Ashley Case,
Approved.
Krista Schwenser.
Approve.
That's 7 for adjournment, none opposed.
Very good. Thank you, Jessica. We'll see everybody probably in April.
Thank you.